Chapter 61 Today, both of you must die. You are listening at Audio. Lu Xuanwu nodded lightly. It's not a big deal. How can there be any good people like me and other warriors? Even though he is armed with a sharp weapon and has a murderous intention, let alone us, it is okay to be a little violent. Qin Jiang shook his head. No, I don't need to hide this anger in my heart. Speaking of which, it's time to resolve the Li family's affairs. He stood up and left directly. Lu Xuanwu sat on a chair, looking at Qin Jiang's leaving back with deep eyes. He suddenly felt that Qin Jiang seemed to be different. Was he affected by the evil spirit? The extremely strong evil spirit that day really surprised him, considering his octogenarian age. He has never seen anyone who can practice the evil spirit of Red Tiger Fist to that extent. Yes, it is normal for such evil spirit to affect one's sanity, however, with the presence of the Tiger Evil Pill, it can still be controlled. At the moment, it seems that Qin Jiang is just a little extreme. The next day, on the streets in the south of the city, hundreds of members of the Red Tiger gang were dispatched, flooding the streets like black water. Houses and shops on the street closed their doors and windows when they saw this. These days, they don't want to suffer any unreasonable disaster. If they are affected, it will be very unlucky. Tap tap tap. Tap tap tap. The sound of horse hooves echoed in the street, and soon they stopped in front of a mansion, which was Li Songjing's Li mansion. Stopping the horse, Qin Jiang waved his hand. Surround it up. Don't let even a single mouse out. There were dense and rapid footsteps, and in just a few minutes, hundreds of people had already surrounded the entire Li mansion. The two servants guarding the gate of Li mansion looked at Qin Jiang with shrinking eyes, unable to say a word. The Red Tiger accomplices are famous far and wide. Who doesn't know how cruel this gang is? Instead of rushing into the house, Qin Jiang drove his horse back and forth outside the door with great interest. The crisp sound of the horse's hooves was like a knock on his heart. After a while, there was a commotion in the mansion, and a fat man in brocade clothes came out with a group of servants. It was Li Songjing. There were about 50 servants, some with knives in their hands, some with sticks, looking fierce, but when he saw the Red Tiger gang who surrounded the entire Li mansion, his body still trembled uncontrollably. After all, the Red Tiger gang was responsible for order in the outer city, and in their eyes, their status was almost the same as that of the government. Ha! My lord, I wonder what important business you have in my Li mansion. Li Songjing smiled with a big belly. Anyone who looked at the smile on his face would only feel that he was sincere. He could not tell that he was a fierce warrior at all. Qin Jiang looked at the other party and couldn't help but remember that when his arms were broken that night, it was really difficult to overlap the fat man in front of him with the eagle-like man that night. Looking at the honest smile on the other party's face, he couldn't help but laugh. Commissioner Li, you colluded with monsters to massacre more than 100 civilians. The evidence is conclusive, but what else do you have to say? Li Songjing's pupils shrank suddenly when he heard this, and the smile froze on his face. Damn it. Who is this guy? How did he know this? Associating with monsters is not a big deal, and these unscrupulous people in the outer city just kill them. As the saying goes, if the people don't care and the officials don't investigate, he will kill them all, so of course there won't be any problems. But if these two things are combined and exposed, it will be a bit troublesome. However, the years of disguise allowed him to recover quickly. He looked at Qin Jiang and said with a smile, Sir, you are joking. There are no monsters in our Li family, let alone harming civilians. As he spoke, he slightly raised his chest and said, Speaking of which, sir, you may not know that my Li family has a good reputation in the south of the city. Although I, Li Songjing, am not a gentleman, I have opened a warehouse and given out porridge. I will definitely not such behavior. Qin Jiang smiled when he heard this. Mr. Li is very modest. Yes or no, you admit it or not? You will know later. After saying that, he waved his hand and said, Search me. Anyone who dares to stop me will be killed directly. Yes. Boss. Brothers, follow me. Menyan drew out his sword and walked towards the house with dozens of gang members. The bright blade made the servants of the Li family dare not stop him. Li Songjing was shocked when he heard this. This guy is so murderous. Just as he was thinking about how to deal with it, a ringing sound suddenly rang in his ears. Ding bell. The vibrato swept across, and all the Red Tiger Gang members outside the mansion stood stunned. Only a few big bosses and deacons still had the ability to resist. Snort. Qin Jiang sat on the horse and snorted coldly, and the raging evil spirit swept directly through the entire street, and all the gang members regained their clarity. Fellow Taoist, why are you so aggressive? The head of the Li family has always been pious and would never commit murder. The sound came from the mansion, and a thin mage with a mustache wearing a bagua robe came out. He holds a copper coin sword in his right hand and a golden bell in his left hand. Qin Jiang ignored it and signaled Mengan to lead people into search. The Red Tiger Gang rushed into Li's house, and soon there was a sound of smashing. The mage looked at Qin Jiang with a gloomy face. Fellow Taoist, you really don't take the poor Taoist seriously. Qin Jiang laughed directly when he heard this, and leaned over slightly while sitting on the horse. Don't worry, fellow Taoist, you can't run away. Today, both of you will die. The mage's expression changed, as if he understood something. He wanted to return to the house, but was stopped by Li Songjing. Don't leave. I've arranged for someone to invite my brother and the county magistrate. They'll be here soon, Li Songjing said. He didn't want to face Qin Jiang here, but let this stinky rat find an opportunity to run away. The mage showed anger, but he didn't get angry in the end. He flicked his sleeves and turned away. Not long after, the commotion in the mansion gradually subsided, but before Mengan and others came out, a sound of horse hooves was heard on the street. A carriage was coming at a high speed. The Red Tiger Gang members standing on the road did not avoid it at all. If they hadn't dodged in time, they would have been crippled if not dead. Stop! What are you doing? Who gave you the courage? A slightly sharp and harsh voice came from the carriage, and a middle-aged man in official uniform lifted the curtain and leaned out half of his body. He was not strong, but his palms were very strong, like a palm leaf fan, slightly red. Qin Jiang waved his hand, signaling the Red Tiger Gang members to make way. Who are you? Is this how Lu Xuanwu manages his men? Let Lu Xuanwu come to see me, said the middle-aged man. Qin Jiang smiled. County magistrate, please be patient, we will see the result in a while. Seeing Song Xiaoan coming, Li Songjing looked behind and found that his brother did not follow, but he still became tough. He looked at Qin Jiang. This brother, although I, Li, do not know where I have offended you, I am willing to apologize. How about we let it go? As long as a few days pass, when he finishes, there will be no so-called evidence at all. At that time, he must let his brother catch this guy in front of him and deal with him well. Qin Jiang turned over and got off the horse, walked in front of Li Songjing, and his tall body looked down at him. Mr. Li, don't you remember me? Li Songjing looked at Qin Jiang, with some doubts in his eyes, and then suddenly realized, it's you. He recognized these eyes, the mysteriously disappeared man in black. Inexplicably, he suddenly felt a sense of uneasiness in his heart. Boss! It's found. Chapter 62. Are you getting old and confused? Who can you save? Who can save you? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mengan stood at the gate of Li Mansion and shouted, asking the brothers inside to carry out the things. Li Song's expression changed, and he turned around hurriedly, only to see a dozen members of the Red Tiger Gang coming out carrying a pile of bones. Blood was flowing on the ground, and a fishy smell blew in the face. It had obviously been there for a while. Li Songjing's body trembled uncontrollably, and his pupils suddenly shrank. These were not the people he killed. Quickly walking closer, he observed carefully and made sure that these bones were definitely not the ones he had killed. Based on the eating habits of those stinky rats, there would be no flesh and blood left at all. He turned back and looked at Qin Jiang with shock in his eyes. You! How dare you slander me? Qin Jiang smiled when he heard this but said nothing. He suddenly moved and kicked the mage who was watching the show. The powerful force envelopes the evil spirit, squeezing the surrounding air, forming wavy white lines. Boom! The mage had no time to react before he was kicked away. After rolling on the ground and creating several potholes, he smashed into the wall of Li's mansion and smashed a piece of it. Call. Qin Jiang's figure was like the wind, breaking through the evil spirit to reach the courtyard wall, grabbing the mage with one hand, and his figure suddenly expanded, turning into a 3-meter giant. He slammed the mage to the ground, creating a huge crater, and the cracks spread to the street, boom boom boom. After a violent smash, thick dust and smoke arose. The huge human figure slowly became clear in the dust and smoke, dragging a huge rat nearly 2 meters long out. All this happened in a breath, and it had already ended before anyone could react. Zhang Lin, go in and search for me, and kill everyone wearing Taoist uniforms. That the sound was not loud but very penetrating, and every member of the Red Tiger gang could hear it clearly. Yes. Boss. Zhang Lin did not hesitate and led people directly into Li's house. Li Songjing stared at this scene in a daze. He couldn't imagine how it could become like this in just a few breaths. Sand. The rat's fur made a rustling sound when it rubbed against the ground, but to him at this moment, it was nothing more than a curse that reminded him of his death. He looked at Qin Jiang, who was gradually approaching, and cold sweat broke out on his neck. Can't beat it. Can't escape. Will die. He hurriedly looked at Song Xiaoan, but before he could turn his eyes, he was blocked by a huge shadow. Qin Jiang had already arrived in front of him. Commander Li, it's time to hit the road. Qin Jiang's voice rang in his ears, and a huge palm pressed down, squeezing his fat head. Stop. Are you really so arrogant? I will protect the Li family. Song Xiaoan's urgent voice came, with a hint of anger. Qin Jiang smiled when he heard this, and turned to look at Song Xiaoan with amusement in his eyes. Song Xiaoan's expression changed slightly, and the anger in his eyes became even more intense. This person has been bailed out by the county magistrate. Can't you hear me? Qin Jiang tilted his head slightly, exerted force on his palms, and the surging evil energy formed a virtual image of an evil tiger. Puff. Li Songjing's head exploded like a broken watermelon. Master, are you confused? Who can you protect? Who can protect you? Along with the words, surging evil energy shook the air, forming a tiger roar like a tsunami. A strong murderous intention enveloped Song Xiaoan, who was about to jump out of the carriage and froze, looking at Qin Jiang in shock. This guy really dares to kill me. Does he really dare? Who is he? He didn't remember meeting Qin Jiang. When did the Red Tiger gang produce such a terrifying figure? Be bold. A roar came from the end of the street, and a middle-aged man wearing a police arrest uniform rushed over. It was Li Shuji, the county government arrest chief. Aha! He drew his sword and pointed it directly at Qin Jiang, but was intimidated by Qin Jiang's huge body and menacing power and did not dare to get too close. He just received the message from his brother and ran over without any delay. Unexpectedly, the county magistrate was actually faster than him. Suddenly, his eyes moved and he saw half of Qin Jiang's body exposed behind him. He was very familiar with that fat body. It was his brother who died. He clearly saw that the familiar body had no head, and the hands of the giant-like guy in front of him were still stained with blood and white pulp. My brother's murderer. You killed my brother. How dare you? Damn it. He roared and was about to rush towards Qin Jiang, but was restrained by a broad hand on his shoulder. Crack. Song Xiaoan slapped him in the face. Your good brother. How dare you harm the people? He deserves to die. Get back here. Tap tap tap. As soon as he finished speaking, the heavy sound of horse hooves echoed in the street. Long Yuesheng rode forward, passing the county captain and Li Shuji in an instant, and rushed in front of Qin Jiang, looking with shock at the huge human figure next to him, which was a head taller than the horse he was sitting on. He said in disbelief, Are you Qin Jiang? Qin Jiang looked at him and grinned. Don't you recognize me, Lieutenant Long County? Hiss. Long Yuesheng couldn't help but gasped. Didn't this guy practice Red Tiger Fist? Does Red Tiger Fist still have such an effect? He had been transferred not long ago and was not very clear about this. He nodded blankly. I understand. After saying that, he realized that he was here to stand up for Qin Jiang. The evidence is conclusive. Is it the Li family who harmed the people? If not, He has his own way of slandering. Qin Jiang nodded. The sinner has been executed, and the sinner is also dead. Long Yuesheng looked behind Qin Jiang. Li Songjing's headless corpse was standing upright, and there was a bloody giant rat corpse on the ground on the other side. He snorted coldly and stabbed Li Songjing's body with a sharp shot. The force shook and directly pierced a huge hole in the chest. On the opposite side, Li Shu stared at Long Yuesheng and Qin Jiang with eyes that were about to burst, but he was pinned down by Song Xiaoan and unable to move. Damn it! It's a pity that I didn't kill it with my own hands. Next time, if this happens again, Brother Qin will inform me. Long Yuesheng said with a smile. Definitely next time. Qin Jiang smiled. Ahem. Song Xiaoan, who was opposite him, coughed twice and said, since Lieutenant Long is here, I don't need my magistrate to be here if I want to come here. My magistrate is also a little tired, so he went back first. After saying that, he directly grabbed the plum tree and threw it onto the carriage, and asked the groom to turn the front of the carriage and leave quickly. After they left, Long Yuesheng also patted the horse and turned around. Brother Qin, this local family association is quite powerful, so we should be more careful and don't stumble. Qin Jiang nodded. Long County Lieutenant, too. If you need anything, you can come to me. Long Yuesheng laughed loudly when he heard this. Brother Qin underestimated my brother. Soon my brother will be transferred to the county. I have no fear of these small clans. After saying that, he clamped his legs together hard, and the black horse galloped away. After Long Yuesheng left, Qin Jiang slowly shrunk, raised his hand to call a member of the Red Tiger gang, and gave him some money to buy new clothes. Looking at the tattered clothes on his body, he remembered that Jinxiu Pavilion in the west of the city seemed to have a special kind of fabric that could be made into clothes that could be stretched at will. Boss. The search has been completed. A total of 26 rat demons have been killed. Chapter 63, Red Tiger Fist Perfection, Martial Arts Transition Deduction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang Lin came out with a knife. The blade was a little curled. There is no way, the fur of these monsters is too tough. However, it is a good material for making leather armor. I think Lai Si Tang can buy a few more sets of leather armor, although they are not allowed to make it, let alone wear it and keep it privately. The Red Tiger gang is an ordinary force, and there are people covering it. Qin Jiang looked over and saw that Zhang Lin's body was stained with blood, and the gang behind him came out in pairs carrying the corpse of the rat demon. Thank you for your hard work, he said. Boss, you're welcome. This is what subordinates should do. Zhang Lin said, although he has also practiced Red Tiger Fist, he recognizes his position. Qin Jiang smiled and said, just watch from here, I'll go in. As he spoke, he raised his hand slightly, and Mengyan came over. Lead the way. Hey, boss, come with me. The two walked into Li's mansion, and the familiar environment reminded Qin Jiang of the first time he came here that night. Who would have thought that in just over a month, the situation would be completely different? Walking in the courtyard, there were blood stains along the way. The members of the Red Tiger gang were busy cleaning the battlefield. This is also the time for them to make a lot of money. Just this one time can catch up with their hard work for a month. The two of them walked into the depths of the courtyard and came to the courtyard where the goddess Huang Tian was worshipped that day. Boss, this is it. A statue of unknown origin is worshipped here. The antiques, calligraphy and paintings in the house are all here. Mengyan said, this was arranged by Qin Jiang last night, and he took the opportunity to search for evidence to search the Li mansion. Otherwise, why bother? Anyway, it was already planned. Even if a skinned wild goat was thrown directly at the door of the Li family, it could still be said to be a civilian who was brutally killed by the Li family. It's just an excuse. The real comparison is whose fist is bigger. Wait for me here. Understood, I promise not to disturb you. Walking into the courtyard, there was blood everywhere. When I came to the central room and pushed open the door, I saw a mountain of antiques and old things, exuding a musty smell. Looking at least hundreds of antiques in front of him, Qin Jiang couldn't help but feel a little excited. This is not comparable to those collected from the private sector. The quality is much better. Outside Heishan City, the source of Shishir River, two figures, a man and a woman, stood on the shore, looking at the stone lion statue in the middle of the lake. I have already prepared all the arrangements for the city, all that's left is you. The female voice said, if Qin Jiang or Meng'an were here, they would definitely be able to tell who the owner of this voice was. It was Aunt Xylan, the old madam of Chaofeng Tower. Don't worry, no more than half a month will be enough. It's a coincidence. I didn't expect that the people in Black Mountain City would not care about these refugees at all, which made my plan go very smoothly. This is also it's their own fault, the male voice said. You have delayed the Lord for a long time. It is best not to have any accidents this time. Aunt Lon said. That's natural. If we hadn't disrupted our pavilion master's plan this time due to the old monster Wang of Ning'an City, the mist would have swallowed this place long ago. In the mansion, Qin Jiang put down the last bronze fragment. He carefully observed this pattern, which was very similar to the previous bronze mask with nightmare beast pattern. After collecting the fragments, he walked out of the yard, and Meng'an immediately came over. Find a time to exchange the contents into money, take out 30% and share it with the brothers, and use the rest for collection. Qin Jiang said. Understood, boss, Meng'an said in surprise. Even if he is not a professional, as long as he is a human being, he knows that the things inside are valuable. After all, this is a treasure collected by the Li family, one of the 4 major families in Black Mountain City. At least there are 7 or 8,000 taels. It can even be sold for a high price of 10,000 taels. The only thing that made him a little regretful was that the Li family now existed in name only, and he could no longer sell it to the Li's antique shop in the inner city. However, you can take this opportunity to extort money. By the way, this is for you. Find a painter to trace it and give each of the brothers a copy. Whenever you encounter an artifact with this pattern, no matter if it is an antique or not, take it all. Qin Jiang took out the bronze fragment just now and handed it to Meng'an. Meng'an took the bronze fragment. He had never seen this kind of pattern, but at a glance he knew it was something very ancient. I understand, boss, we'll get it done tonight. Okay, you can take care of the rest. If anything happens, come back to me. Returning to Anshin Villa, Qin Jiang walked to the pavilion and sat down, and couldn't wait to bring up the panel. Current martial arts. 5 Qigong of Immortality, Perfection, Iron Arm Fist, Perfect, Earth Dragon Body, Perfection, Red Tiger Fist, 4th level, 120/1300. Potential points, 126.8. Looking at the bottom of the potential panel, he couldn't help but feel a little excited. With more than 100 potential points, he has never gained so many since his rebirth. Without any hesitation, he directly poured the potential points into the Red Tiger Fist, 4th level, 120/1300, experience value plus 1180. Red Tiger Fist, Perfect. Potential points, 115. Boom. As the Red Tiger Fist reached its perfect state, Qin Jiang felt the evil energy flowing out of his body uncontrollably. In just half a breath, the black evil spirit had spread all over the yard. Roar. An illusory tiger roar was heard in the air, and a translucent black giant tiger appeared behind Qin Jiang and roared to the sky. Blood-colored brilliance burst out from the giant tiger's eyebrows, and the evil spirit in the yard quickly changed from black to blood-colored. In just a cup of tea, all the black evil spirits had returned to blood red, and dark red particles like gravel could be seen flowing slowly. The black giant tiger behind Qin Jiang also changed in the same way, and its body began to gradually rise. As its body rose, the blood-red cracks on its body continued to spread, like a fine spider web covering the giant tiger's entire body. After a while, the giant tiger's body had exceeded 5 meters, and its body was completely covered with blood-red lines, like a statue sealed in blood-colored translucent glass. Cracks appeared on the surface of the blood-red statue, emitting a blood-red glow. Bang! With a bang, the body of the giant tiger was completely liberated as if it had broken free from its restraints. The blood-colored hair on its body stretched in the wind. Roar! A substantial roar sounded, shaking the surrounding air and forming air waves like raindrops. Qin Jiang slowly stood up, and the blood-colored giant tiger crouched behind him. Its translucent body penetrated the pavilion without causing any impact, to a certain extent, although the blood-colored giant tiger formed by the evil spirit has certain physical characteristics, it is more inclined to the spiritual level, or it can be said that this is the materialization of the tiger evil fist. He clenched his fist slightly, and the surging power surged in his body, much stronger than before. Is this the master? The peak existence of the realm of divine will. After a moment, the blood-colored giant tiger slowly dissipated, and his eyes fell on the potential panel. It is detected that the host has reached the conditions for the adaptation to open. Opening is completed. It is detected that the host has reached the conditions for the martial arts transition deduction to open. Opening is completed. It is detected that the red tiger fist has reached the limit of ordinary martial arts. Do you want to consume 500 potential points to perform the transition deduction of the mysterious martial arts? Note, this deduction will be based on the red tiger fist for adaptability adjustment. The minimum martial arts adaptability after deduction is 85%. Chapter 64, Bronze Bell Gate, Secret Warrior. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Adaptability. Xianpin Martial Arts. No, 500 points. It actually requires 500 potential points to deduce red tiger fist. His eyes lingered on the prompt, a stream of information flooding into his mind. After a while, he digested the information and understood that there was a huge gap between ordinary martial arts and Xianpin martial arts. This difference comes from something called the origin map. If you have a reference, it is not troublesome to improve it, but if not, using ordinary martial arts to forcefully deduce a suitable origin map would require consuming a lot of potential points. In other words, if he had a Xianpin martial arts at this time, there would be no need to deduce the origin map. It can be improved just like ordinary martial arts by consuming a small amount of potential points, but if not, then it can only be deduced on the basis of ordinary martial arts, just like Red Tiger Fist now, which requires consuming a lot of potential points. However, this also has an advantage, that is, the martial arts derived will have a very high degree of adaptability to himself. Looking at the panel, current martial arts 0.5 Qigong of immortality, perfection, 69%, Iron Arm Fist, perfect, 53%, Earth Dragon Body, perfection, 88%. Red Tiger Fist, perfect, 67%. Potential points, 115. The last thing that is convenient is the so-called adaptability, which to put it bluntly is the degree of fit between him and this martial art. Only martial arts with a fitness degree above 50% have the potential for him to perfectly master all of his own power. It's just that he looked at the one behind Delome whose fitness far surpassed that of other martial arts. Is it really so appropriate? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Shaking his head, he shook the distracting thoughts out of his mind and thought about what to do next. I'll ask the gang leader about Xianpin martial arts tomorrow. If I can't get it, I can only deduce the red tiger fist. If you don't have enough potential points for the time being, just increase your efforts to search for them. Although 500 points is a lot, I think the entire Black Mountain City can still collect them all. He had a hunch that when his red tiger fist advanced to Xianpin martial arts, there would be some kind of qualitative change. Far beyond the super qualitative change when Wu Qin Shi advanced to the 5 Qigong of immortality. Phew! He exhaled slowly and sat back on the stone bench. It seemed that he had to wait a while. Originally, he planned to come back and develop Red Tiger Fist to a higher level before going to find Song Xiaoan, but now, he has not quietly solved the strength of a warrior who is close to the peak of divine will. Although the current imperial court is weak, if a county magistrate is killed openly, someone will definitely be sent to deal with it. He picked a grape off the stone table and put it into his mouth, tapping his fingertips on the table unconsciously. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. You can't always run away. The next day, the Red Tiger Gang headquarters. Martial arts beyond advanced true martial arts. There are, but Black Mountain City doesn't have them. Lu Xuanwu picked up the teacup and took a sip, with a hint of memory in his expression. Beyond the advanced true martial arts are secret martial arts. The so-called secret martial arts are martial arts that are secret and not taught. They are the core of each major sect and cannot be taught to non-core members. Secret martial arts. Qin Jiang whispered to himself, what's the difference between this secret martial arts and the real martial arts? He knew that secret martial arts involved the so-called origin map, but he didn't know if these sects also called it the origin map. What's the difference? In fact, I just heard about it. My qualifications were not very good at that time, so I was sent to this Black Mountain city. In the past few decades, I slowly became a gang leader from a deacon, but it only stopped there. He put down the teacup. When I was an outer disciple of the Tongzhong sect, I once heard a deacon say that the bronze fire and bronze furnace skill secretly taught by the Tongzhong sect requires going to the core of the sect to visualize a bronze furnace. Only by practicing, I guess that the reason why the gap between the secret warriors and the true warriors is like a chasm is related to the copper furnace, which may contain some special power. I don't know what it is, but the new true disciples in the Tongzhong sect will wear clothes made of a special material and will not take them off until half a year later. I guess that in the past 6 months, they may have been learning to master the special power obtained from the copper furnace, and those clothes were probably prepared to prevent them from losing control of their power and causing some unexpected losses. Copper furnace? Bronze fire and copper furnace power? Is this secret warrior so powerful? He actually needs external objects to control the power within his body. Qin Jiang asked. It was hard for him to imagine how powerful he was to need to do this. Xuanwu nodded. I have not intuitively seen the strength of the secret warrior. However, there is a saying that is widely spread within the sect, and that is the beginning of the secret warrior being called inhuman. The beginning of inhumanity? Inhumanity and inhumanity. Qin Jiang recited these two words silently. Is he saying that the secret warrior has some inhuman characteristics, or is it just that his power is so strong that he is not human? After a moment, he asked, what is the relationship between this Tongzhongman and our Red Tiger gang? You don't know. You shouldn't. You're already qualified to know at the leader level. Is it possible that you haven't read the gang rules manual issued by the gang? Xuanwu asked in surprise. He originally thought Qin Jiang knew about Tongzhongman. Well. Qin Jiang's expression changed slightly. He remembered that there seemed to be such a thing. As for where to put it, Xuanwu couldn't help but smile. You should know that in our great Xia, the sect and the royal family jointly rule the world. Except for Xiazhou where the imperial city is located, the other states are basically controlled by the sect. In a sense, it can even be regarded as a country within a country. The orders of the sect are often more useful than the orders of the court. The sect that controls Yenzhou is called Changshu sect, and Tongzhongman is one of its affiliated sections. It is powerful and controls the entire Ning'an county. Our Qihu gang is a subsidiary gang under its rule. I see. Is there any way to obtain the secret weapon? Qin Jiang asked. This is what he cares about. Xuanwu shook his head. I can't do anything, but our Qihu gang will have a recommendation quota every 3 years. I have reported it in the past 3 years. It's your sister. You may have to wait for another 3 years. Speaking of this, he seemed to remember something. I heard that you have a good personal relationship with County Magistrate Long. Qin Jiang nodded slightly. Not bad. That's easy. County Magistrate Long's background is not simple. He is from the Long family, one of the 3 famous families in the county city, and has a close relationship with the Tongzhong Gate. You can ask him. Xuanwu said. Oh. County Magistrate Long has such a background. Qin Jiang nodded, and he had to find time to go to Long Mansion. After leaving the headquarters of the Qihu gang, Qin Jiang sent someone to Long Mansion to hand in a visiting card, and he went to prepare some gifts, but not long after, the man came back to tell County Magistrate Long that he had left the city, and he seemed to be in a hurry. Seeing this, he was not in a hurry and went directly to Jinxiu Pavilion in the west of the city. Walking into Jinxiu Pavilion, a unique fragrance of cloth filled the nose. Guest, what would you like to order? A young girl in a reddish cloth came over and asked. I heard that you have a kind of cloth that can be stretched freely, and I want to make a piece of clothing. Qin Jiang said. He didn't want to burst his clothes every time he fought with others. Although it was quite cool, it still affected his image to some extent. Are you talking about Yunjin? Well, It's very expensive. If you make one according to your figure, it will cost about 50 taels of silver. The girl in red said, with some embarrassment in her eyes. The man in front of him didn't look like someone who could take out 50 taels. Qin Jiang smiled. It was true that clothes make the man. Today he didn't wear the fox fur cloak of the Red Tiger Gang, but simply wore a black cloth. She took out a silver note with a face value of 100 taels from her bosom. Is this enough? The red-dressed girl's eyes lit up. Enough, enough. I'll go and invite the host. Please wait a moment. She ran straight to the second floor and soon came down with someone. Are you Xiao Jiang? A voice with a bit of surprise sounded in Qin Jiang's ears. He put down a piece of black cloth in his hand and looked at the source of the voice, a gentle young woman who looked to be in her 20s, wearing a blue dress, with her hair slightly loose, and a bit of surprise on her face. Sister Su. Chapter 65 True Self Innate Skill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Jiang was a little surprised, and then he realized that the cloth shop where his sister worked as a handyman was Jinxiu Pavilion. The woman in front of him was called Su Zai. She had been back with her sister several times, so she was quite familiar with Qin Jiang. Why are you here? Where did you get this 100 taels of silver? No, where is your sister? How is she doing recently? Su Zai asked, and walked quickly to Qin Jiang, nodding slightly. She is a lot stronger, and her skin is much better. It seems that your sister is doing well in the Red Tiger Gang. As soon as she opened her mouth, Su Zai's gentle temperament disappeared without a trace, and she felt a bit like a big sister. Qin Jiang was silent for a moment, and said, My sister has been out of town for something. I will bring her back later. Huh? Su Zai looked at Qin Jiang in surprise. What do you mean you bring her back? Have you joined the Red Tiger Gang now? Qin Jiang nodded slightly, just joined not long ago. Su Zai said, Oh, and then turned to look at the girl in red. Danner, go get my tools. Danner responded and walked behind the counter. Su Zai reached out and patted Qin Jiang's shoulder. You've practiced well, your figure is better than your brother-in-law. Qin Jiang was stunned. Sister Su, do you know the chief of Jinxiu Pavilion? Su Zai raised his head slightly, and looked at Qin Jiang with a little doubt. I am. No, you don't even know this. Didn't Xiaohong tell you? This little girl is really something. Am I something I can't show off? Is Louisa of the Lu family Sister Su's husband? Qin Jiang asked. Su Zai was a little surprised. How did you know? Nothing, I bought a knife from Brother Lu at the beginning. Qin Jiang said. Bang. Su Zai slashed Qin Jiang's forehead with a knife. You are disrespectful, calling me brother-in-law. Come on, call me brother-in-law, and I won't charge you. As she said that, she stuffed the banknotes in her hand into Qin Jiang's pocket. Qin Jiang glanced at her helplessly. Yes, brother-in-law. Su Zai smiled when she heard it, and Danner just came back at this time. After some measurements, Su Zai didn't say anything nonsense, tied up her loose hair and started working directly. Danner took out a small notebook to record, glanced at Qin Jiang casually, and smiled. The boss doesn't make clothes himself very often, and this craftsmanship alone is worth 5 taels of silver. By the way, Xiao Jiang, what style of clothes are you going to make? How about I choose one for you? Su Zai's voice came. Qin Jiang thought for a moment. Let's take the black gold auspicious cloud robe. Brother Lu gave me one last time. It's quite suitable. Su Zai looked up at Qin Jiang in surprise. Oh, you are the good brother my husband mentioned last time. If I had known, I would have personally sent him there that day. You are growing up quite fast. You have grown a circle in just a few days. It seems that the food in the Red Tiger Gang is not bad. The cloth fluttered in Su Zai's hands and was finished in a short time. Take the robe in your hand and pull it gently. The palm-sized cloth was instantly pulled to half a meter wide. After letting go of the hand, it returned to its original shape in just one breath. Come over here and try it on. She pointed to the large bronze mirror next to her that was nearly 2 meters long. Walking over, Qin Jiang took the black gold auspicious cloud robe and put it on. Compared with the last time, this time it was more exquisite and the accessories used were more sophisticated. After putting it on, Su Zai handed over a jade hairpin, and Qin Jiang looked at her silently. Su Zai smiled immediately, raised his hand to put Qin Jiang's hair into a bun, and straightened his collar. "Not bad, it looks better than your brother-in-law." Qin Jiang smiled slightly, and before he could say anything, a burst of hurried footsteps suddenly sounded outside. "Fourth Master. Fourth Master." "It's not good." A Red Tiger Gang disciple walked in quickly, with a bit of anxiety on his face. Qin Jiang turned around. "What's wrong?" "Someone sued you for killing innocent people. The lawsuit has been submitted to the county government." Qin Jiang frowned slightly. "Let's go and take a look." When he walked out of the door, he suddenly remembered something and looked back at Su Zai. "Sister Su, I have something to do, so I'll go first." After saying that, he looked at the Red Tiger Gang disciple beside him. "Pass it on, I'm the one protecting Jinxiu Pavilion, please take care of it in the future." "Understood, Fourth Master." After the two left, Su Zai stood there in a daze, as if he hadn't reacted to what happened yet. "Danner, that was Master Chen from the Red Tiger Gang, right?" Danner nodded hesitantly. "I think so." "Then he is called Xiao Jiang Siyi." "That's not what I understand, right?" "Boss, I feel like that's right." His. Su Zai looked at Danner in shock. "Quick. Go and ask your husband to come over. He is a brainless man who doesn't know the rules on weekdays." "We can't be less polite." Haishanqing County Office. County Magistrate Lu Ansong sat in the main seat and looked at the petition in his hand with a frown. On weekdays, the county magistrate basically doesn't care about things. He is basically in charge of these daily affairs, and today, the case is that Lu Sanan, the son of the village chief of Dalu village, sued Qin Jiang, the current fourth master of the Red Tiger Gang, for killing innocent people and taking human lives. When dealing with the strange things in Dalu village, he couldn't help but have a headache. The county magistrate had just said that the fourth master of the Red Tiger Gang was a dangerous person and it was best not to provoke him if possible, but today he ran into him. These unruly people really don't know how to live or die. Since they are not dead, why don't they just live on? Do they have to destroy their own families? Ta-ta-ta, the sound of gentle footsteps sounded, and Qin Jiang walked into the lobby, walking like a dragon and a tiger, giving everyone in the hall a sense of oppression. "Go straight to the chair below the platform and sit down." Meng'an stood behind him and handed over a teacup. Qin Jiang took it and took a sip. "Master Lu, I wonder who sued me." Lu Ansong straightened up and looked down the hall. Lu Sanan, who was supposed to be here, was nowhere to be seen. He looked at the master next to him. The master understood, lowered his head and whispered, "Sir, the Lu family was kidnapped by the Red Tiger Gang just after handing in the complaint, and now they are missing." After hearing this, he glanced at Qin Jiang without any trace, and saw that the other party was leisurely playing with the teacup in his hand, and he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. The person who submitted the petition was Lu Sanan, the son of the village chief of Daliu village. However, he disappeared after submitting the petition, but I don't know where he is now. Qin Jiang nodded slightly. "In that case, there's no harm in waiting. By the way, why don't you see the county magistrate?" Lu Ansong's face froze. "Didn't you ask knowingly? If that old guy had the guts, would he still let me come?" If Qin Jiang was not strong enough and encountered such a good opportunity, I am afraid that Song Xiaoan would have come over and sentenced him to death. As for hiding away like now, Your Excellency, the county magistrate, has been feeling unwell recently and it is difficult to see people. Not feeling well? Could it be that he needs to be buried? Qin Jiang said with a smile. Lu Ansong trembled, and all the papers in his hand fell to the platform. "Well, that's not the case. I have something to trouble Mr. Lu. Please pass it on to me. I will pay you a visit in a few days and ask about the haunting of Chaofeng Tower." Qin Jiang said. Just as he finished speaking, there was a sound of footsteps outside the door. Tian Shangfei walked in and nodded slightly when he saw Qin Jiang. Qin Jiang put down the teacup and looked at Lu Ansong. "Sir, since the person who complained has not arrived for a long time, he must have a guilty conscience. Your Excellency, please close the case as soon as possible." Lu Ansong was silent for a moment after hearing this, and then sat up slightly. Okay, since the accuser has not come for a long time, he must have a guilty conscience. I conclude that this person must be jealous and wantonly spread rumors, which is really hateful. Bang! He suddenly picked up the gavel on the platform and took a picture. I declare that Qin Jiang is not guilty. The criminal Lu Sanan is lawless and acts wantonly. He must be arrested and brought to justice. Qin Jiang stood up and said, Mr. Lu, the gang is busy with affairs, so I won't stay with you much longer. After that, he stood up and left. When he walked to the door, he turned back to look at Lu Ansong. By the way, Mr. Lu, don't forget to convey this to me. Lu Ansong nodded, naturally. 3 days later, at night, Anshin Courtyard, Qin Jiang lay on his back in the pavilion, holding a snow pear in his hand and gnawing on it, feeling very comfortable, looking at the panel. Current martial arts. 5 Qigong of immortality, perfection, 69%, iron arm fist, perfect, 53%, earth dragon body, perfection, 88%, red tiger fist, perfect, 67%. Potential points, 297.6. In the past few days, he had visited all the places recorded in Tian Shangfei's book and gained more than 100 potential points. In addition, a batch of goods also arrived from Mengan, and the entire outer city was almost completely plundered, leaving only 2 cities and 16 squares in the inner city. After thinking for a moment, he decided to upgrade these 3 ordinary martial arts to the level of advanced martial arts. It doesn't take much anyway, and it's nothing compared to the 500 points needed to improve the red tiger fist. If you can get a secret weapon, you can save it directly. He ate the snow pear in his hand in one bite and silently recited in his mind, potential, improvement, 5 Qigongs of immortality. The deduction is completed during the deduction. The 5 Qigong of immortality, perfection, is advanced to the true self innate skill, first level, 1/800. True innate skill, first level, 1/800. Potential points, 292.1. Chapter 66, Strength Rises, Leader Seriously Injured. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the moonlight, Qin Jiang's bones made a crackling sound, and his long hair, which was originally draped over his shoulders, spread to his waist like a black waterfall. After a moment, he exhaled a breath of fresh air and carefully felt himself comfortable. The comfort that cannot be described in words, is like combing the body that was originally growing wantonly, and the flow of evil spirit is smoother. This alone has increased his strength by more than 10%. Before he deduced the 5 Qigong of longevity, he was already at the peak of divine will and was known as a master. It can be said that he has reached the pinnacle of mortals. One step forward, he is an inhuman secret warrior. Being able to improve 10% on this basis is already terrifying enough. After adapting for a while, he silently said in his heart, potential, add points, iron arm fist. Deduction is completed. Iron arm fist, perfect, advances to iron body skill, first level, 1/600. Iron body skill, first level, 1/600. Potential points, 288.1. A feeling of extreme expansion spread throughout his limbs, and all the muscles in his body swelled up, reflecting a faint silver-gray glow, but upon closer inspection, it seemed like an illusion. Feeling the greatly increased power in his body, he seemed to sense the existence of a barrier, like a pass set by heaven and earth, blocking all creatures that wanted to break through the restrictions. Is this the root cause of the gap between secret warriors and true warriors? He is not sure. However, there is still some distance from that barrier, which means he can continue to improve. Potential, add points, Earth Dragon Body. Deduction in progress. Deduction completed. Earth Dragon Body, perfect, advances to Earth King Dragon Body, first level, 1/600. Earth King Dragon Body, first level, 1/600. Potential points, 284.1. Standing up, Qin Jiang slightly bent backwards and directly completed a terrifying action of nearly 360 degrees, feeling a completely different perspective. He couldn't help but feel a little curious. After standing up straight, he tried various actions, all of which were inhumanly difficult. His body flexibility has increased too much, and the speed of force transmission has also increased a lot. In terms of the improvement of strength, it is more than the true self-innate kung fu and iron arm fist. Not only that, the Earth King Dragon body seems to have improved something deeper. At this time, he can clearly feel that the barrier is farther away from him, so, does that barrier actually represent the innate limit of the body? And the deeper thing that the Earth King Dragon body improves is the so-called potential. Looking at the panel, current martial arts, true self-innate skill, first level, 1/800, 69%, iron body skill, first level, 1/600, 53%, Earth Dragon body, first level, 1/600, 88%, red tiger fist, perfect, 67%, potential points, 284.1. It seems that improving ordinary deductive martial arts will not improve martial arts adaptability, only transition deduction can do it. Looking at the panel, he was considering whether to upgrade these 3 true martial arts to the perfect level first. After thinking about it, he still suppressed this idea. Although this can greatly improve his strength, it is ultimately not as great as the improvement after the breakthrough of the red tiger fist. The current priority is to gather 500 potential points. At that time, he can also decide whether to deduce the red tiger fist according to the situation. The reason for the hesitation is because of the existence of the Earth King Dragon body. Since the Earth King Dragon body can improve his potential, it will make him stronger at the level of a true warrior. If he practices a few more martial arts like this, will his strength reach an extremely powerful level? Even at the level of a true warrior, he can cross the inhuman threshold and be comparable to a true secret warrior. In this way, when he becomes a secret warrior, his strength will naturally be far beyond the same level, and he can go further in the future. A future, a present, how should he choose? If it is not necessary, he will naturally choose the future, which means that he can go further and see more scenery, but the experience of these days made him feel a little bit like a dark cloud pressing down on the city. It was like some kind of crisis was approaching, and if he was not careful, he would be crushed by this storm. After a moment of silence, he suddenly exhaled a breath of turbid air. It was useless to think more, only his own fist was real. As long as he was strong enough, no crisis could threaten him. 3 days later, early in the morning, on Qin Villa. Boss! Boss! It's not good. Mengan directly broke through the door and ran in. Qin Jiang pushed open the door and looked at him. What's wrong? Why are you so anxious? Boss, it's not good. Gang leader. Gang leader is seriously injured. Mengan said anxiously. Qin Jiang's eyes were stern. What's going on? How could the gang leader be seriously injured? Mengan was startled and quickly replied, I don't know. Qin Jiang took a deep breath and strode away. Not long after, Qin Jiang arrived at the headquarters, and the entire headquarters was under martial law. Fourth Master, a big boss guarding the door saw Qin Jiang and immediately came up to him. Fourth Master, everyone is here. Qin Jiang nodded, walked in, and soon came to Lu Xuanwu's residence in the backyard. Outside the door, the 2 elders and several hall masters of the gang were all there, as well as several deacons who had already practiced the red tiger fist. Seeing Qin Jiang coming, Chen Feng came over and said, the gang leader received a secret letter yesterday and went to Deduction. When he came back in the evening, he was covered in blood. He fainted after just saying bones. Qin Jiang nodded. How is the situation? Chen Feng shook his head. The doctor is still inside, we don't know yet. Zikwa. While talking, the door of the room opened and the doctor came out from the inside. Doctor. How are you? Sun Qianzhao stepped forward quickly and asked with a somewhat worried look on his face. The doctor sighed and shook his head slightly. We can't be sure at the moment. With the strength of the gang leader, if he can't wake up within 3 days, he may be in danger. 3 days? Sun Qianzhao's face froze, and a lingering thought arose in his mind. He looked at the doctor. Please do your best, doctor. No matter what you need, our Red Tiger gang will do our best to get it. The doctor nodded and took out a prescription. This prescription needs to be prepared as soon as possible. In the next 3 days, I will use the method of crossing the acupoints with silver needles to send the power of the medicine into the helper's body, which may increase his vitality. Ian. Quick. Go and prepare. Sun Qianzhao took the prescription and handed it directly to Sun Ian. Sun Yian glanced at the prescription, turned around and left without saying a word. Everyone in the courtyard was silent, as if a low pressure was spreading. During this period, a few people occasionally went out, but they came back soon. The tense atmosphere lasted until the afternoon of the next day. Even though everyone was a master in the realm of divine will, some of them couldn't bear this state of tense nerves all the time. Sun Qianzhao sat on the steps in front of the house and looked at everyone. Everyone, a country cannot be without a king for a day, and a gang cannot be without a master for a day. If something unexpected happens to the leader of the gang, we have to make plans in advance. After the words fell, everyone except Sun Ian and Qin Jiang couldn't help but look at him. Great Elder, what do you mean by this? Second Master Kong Hai said directly. He has always been a straightforward person. Since he can ask, he won't use his brain to think at all. Sun Qianzhao's face was expressionless. What this elder naturally means is that since the gang leader is temporarily unable to manage the gang, it is natural that a capable person should be selected to temporarily take over the gang leader's responsibilities. Otherwise, wouldn't our Red Tiger gang be in chaos? Kong Hai nodded when he heard this. I understand, you want to be the gang leader. Don't you? Chapter 67, Stop Talking Nonsense, Let's Go Together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sun Qianzhao's expression changed, and he looked at Kong Hai angrily. Has this guy always been like this? What's wrong with Grandpa being the gang leader? In terms of qualifications and strength, who can compare with Grandpa? Sun Ian said from the side. In his opinion, with his own support and his grandfather's own strength and status, it is natural for him to win the position of gang leader. Ian. Don't talk nonsense. You are just taking charge of the responsibilities of the gang leader. How can the position of gang leader be determined so easily? Only by becoming the leader can you be qualified to become the gang leader. Sun Qianzhao scolded. Hey, do you really have this plan? Old guy, you are almost buried, are you still so greedy for power? Kong Hai said unceremoniously. This old guy used to point fingers when dealing with traitors in the gang, and now he actually wants to take his position as gang leader. Sun Qianzhao rolled up his sleeves and said, then according to the second master's wishes, how should we make a decision? You call me second master, so it's natural for you to inherit. In terms of qualifications and strength, I'm not bad at all. In that case, why not be the leader of the gang? Kong Hai imitated Sun Ian's words and said, he has also practiced the 3rd level of Red Tiger Fist. Even if Sun Qianzhao really reaches the 4th level, he is old after all, and he is not afraid of a fight. You. Sun Ian raised his finger and pointed at him, too angry to speak. Sun Qianzhao couldn't help but sneer, a reckless man dares to challenge me? How irritating. Don't be impatient, you too. Since we can't compete, why not wait until tomorrow to summon all the deacons and leaders in the gang to vote for the acting gang leader? Chen Feng stepped forward and said, looking around at everyone around him. Sun Qianzhao narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Kong Hai. Kong Hai showed no sign of weakness and looked at him with wide eyes. This elder has no objection, Sun Qianzhao said. If he was not sure of suppressing everyone present, why would he bother to do so? However, what surprised him the most was that Qin Jiang didn't express anything. He looked at Qin Jiang and saw that he was sitting on a chair in the corridor with his eyes closed, as if all this had nothing to do with him. Does this guy really have no regard for the position of gang leader? That's all, just don't mess with me, but I want to have a good conversation with him tonight. If not, it would be troublesome for the other party to support Kong Hai tomorrow. Hey! I don't have any objections, either. Kong Hai said. He didn't really want to be the gang leader, but mainly because he didn't want this person to be Sun Qianzhao. As the saying goes, if you are too old to die, you are a thief. This old guy seems to have been indifferent to the affairs of the gang, but in fact, he has placed many of his own people in the gang, and even his grandson has been promoted to the position of leader. It is clear that he has a plan for a long time. Okay, In that case, why don't you all go back and rest tonight, and then come back here tomorrow when you are full of energy? Chen Feng said. He didn't care about the position of gang leader, it wasn't his turn anyway, but the nerves he had been tense for the past 2 days really made him unable to bear it. Normally this would only happen when fighting with others, but that situation only lasted for half an hour at most. It's not like now, it's just a sleepless night, but you also have to be on guard against a fight between these two people that could affect you. Hearing this, everyone nodded and then left. Qin Jiang also opened his eyes, stood up and left without saying a word. When they walked outside the headquarters, Mengyan had been waiting outside the door. When he saw Qin Jiang coming out, he immediately brought a bowl of steaming chicken soup. "Boss, are you hungry? This is wild ginseng and pheasant soup, it's very filling." Qin Jiang took the soup bowl and drank it in one gulp, feeling a warmth slide down his throat and down his esophagus. He looked towards the end of the street ahead, with some doubts in his eyes. What's going on? Why are there monsters in the city? That I saw monsters passing by on the opposite side of the street, including wolf monsters, dog monsters, and many other weird monsters, whose species could not be distinguished from their appearance alone. However, even from such a distance, he could smell a faint smell of blood, which was definitely that of a demon. "Oh, I heard that it was arranged by the county magistrate and the county captain. I don't know the specific situation. However, in the past few days, there have been at least 30 to 50 monsters entering the city," Mengyan said. "Long County Lieutenant is back?" Qin Jiang asked. Mengyan nodded. "I came back, but I just went to the county government office and then left the city again, not back to Long Mansion." Qin Jiang nodded in surprise and looked at the group of monsters at the street entrance. "Are there so many monsters near Black Mountain City?" Mengyan nodded. "It's okay. There have always been monsters in the nearby mountains, but most of the ones we've seen are dead, so no one knows about them." He and Lao Tian sometimes went to some remote areas on weekdays, and they would take special books to prevent them from entering the territory of some powerful monsters. "Have they eaten anyone since they entered the city?" Qin Jiang asked. Mengyan looked embarrassed when he heard this. "I don't know about this kid, but it's not on the surface, and we can't say it's not secretly." Qin Jiang nodded. "How is the collection of antiques in the inner city going?" "It's okay. We have collected 3 squares so far. We will almost finish collecting them before the Fishing Lantern Festival." Mengyan said. "Fishing Lantern Festival?" Qin Jiang suddenly remembered that Su Yanran seemed to have invited him to the Fishing Lantern Festival. "What are the Su family doing recently?" he asked. Mengyan was stunned for a moment, and then realized that he heard Lao Tian mention it and knew that his boss had a crush on the eldest daughter of the Su family. The Su family has been dealing with the dead crops outside the city recently, and they seem to have been revived. "Maybe there will be some harvest this year," he said. Qin Jiang nodded. "Okay, let's go back and take a rest." After returning to Anshin Villa, Qin Jiang went through all the antiques that Mengyan had collected in the past few days. The total number of potential points also exceeded the 300 mark, reaching 312 points. It was night, and a figure in black appeared quietly, and then the silent night was broken by a piercing whistle, tick 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 tick. "The gang leader is dead." In the Anshin Villa, Qin Jiang, who was lying on his back in the pavilion, stood up suddenly, with shock in his eyes. How is this possible? During the day, he clearly felt that Lu Xuanwu's breath had stabilized, and he would wake up by tomorrow morning at the latest. How could he die suddenly? Could it be? His eyes flashed. Old Zhang. Whoosh. A black shadow rushed into the yard. It was Zhang Lin, boss. "What are your orders?" He also heard the whistle and understood the situation. "You take a few deacons and take care of the important positions that originally belonged to the 4 halls and 6 halls, and don't let others fish in troubled waters. Stabilize the situation and wait until I solve everything before talking about anything else." After saying that, Qin Jiang left directly, jumped on the roof, and arrived at the headquarters in just a short time. At this time, the headquarters was in chaos, headed by Sun Qianzhao, and Sun Ian stood together with a deacon who had practiced Red Tiger Fist. On the opposite side, headed by Kong Hai, there were also the 3 hall masters Lu Sheng and the remaining deacons who had practiced the Red Tiger Fist. The two groups confronted each other, and no one dared to take the lead. Boom. Qin Jiang landed boldly, creating a deep pit. The moment he landed, surging blood-red evil energy flowed, covering everyone's ankles within a breath. Fourth Master, what do you mean? Sun Qianzhao spoke with a bit of fear on his face. He hadn't seen the gang leader take action for a long time, and he hadn't recognized that this was the pure-blood evil energy that only came after mastering the Red Tiger Fist. Qin Jiang's sight passed by two groups of men and horses, and his figure suddenly expanded, turning into a 4-meter giant. Stop talking nonsense and come together. Chapter 68 The First Seat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After saying that, Qin Jiang flashed, without giving everyone time to react, he came to Sun Qianzhao in an instant and slapped him. The huge palm pressed the air into a ball, and the scenery under the palm could be seen distorted. Sun Qianzhao's face changed drastically. This fierce and terrifying force, can a human produce it? He did not dare to hesitate at all. He directly made a full-strength attack, his muscles bulged, and all his strength was poured into his fists, attacking the huge palm. Boom! The fists and palms met and stopped in midair. The air distortion caused by Qin Jiang's palm directly enveloped Sun Qianzhao. Strands of blood squeezed out from the cracks in Sun Qianzhao's skin, and then they were crushed into blood threads by the distorted air. Puff! The huge recoil force made him spit blood, and the stalemate was broken at this moment. Boom! A huge sonic boom sounded, and the strong shock wave directly knocked several people behind Sun Qianzhao away. They vomited blood in the air and fell into a coma before they landed. Sun Qianzhao's body sank deeply into the ground, with only the waist and above exposed. He looked at Qin Jiang with shock. How could this be possible? I was seriously injured with one palm. Suddenly, a wisp of evil spirit floated in front of his eyes, and his pupils shrank suddenly. He clearly saw that in the blood-red evil spirit, there was a material evil spirit flowing like sand. Red Tiger Fist Great Master. Grand Master Level Master. You are already a Grand Master. Before he finished speaking, he had fainted. Qin Jiang glanced at him and said nothing. The old man was defeated by the young man, and felt embarrassed, so it was normal to pretend to faint. Standing up straight, the huge body of 4 meters high was almost flush with the eaves, surrounded by evil spirits, with a terrifying sense of oppression. A breeze started to blow the evil spirit in the courtyard towards Kong Hai and his men. The next moment, Qin Jiang had come to Kong Hai and pressed his palm down without any fancy moves. Just when his palm was about to reach Kong Hai's face, he knelt on one knee and raised his fists. Fourth Master, spare me. The palm stopped above his head, and the strong palm wind blew across his cheek, causing his face to twitch uncontrollably, and cold sweat instantly climbed up his neck. He had no doubt that if he hadn't made a prompt decision to admit his defeat, he would probably have become a dead onion like Sun Qianzhao. He didn't dare to look up, but just roared in his heart, is this still a human? 4 meters. 4 meters. I'm afraid it's not some monster that has transformed. Qin Jiang naturally didn't know what he was thinking, and his eyes passed Kong Hai and fell on the people behind him. Suddenly, several people, like Kong Hai, knelt on one knee and smashed the ground directly. Fourth Master, spare me. Qin Jiang nodded slightly, his body returned to normal, and just as he was about to say something, he suddenly heard something beside his ear. Squeak. In the silent night, there was a sudden sound of a door opening. Everyone looked over and saw Xuanwu breathing the cool night air with a look of enjoyment. Suck. Cough cough cough. Cough cough cough. What's going on? Where does such a strong evil spirit come from? He kept coughing, and it was obvious that his injuries had not recovered completely, and he just barely had some mobility. He raised his head while holding the wooden door, looked into the yard, and then froze. You. What are you doing? Boss, you are not dead. Qin Jiang said. Xuanwu's face froze. Does the Fourth Master want me to die so much? That's not the case, but someone just sent a message with the gang whistle saying that the gang leader is dead, so there was a fight tonight. Qin Jiang said. Kong Hai in front of him couldn't help shrinking his head when he heard the words. Good fellow, Fourth Master, you call this a fight? Whose fight is resolved by a slap? How can I be qualified? Lu Xuanwu looked puzzled. Fight? After saying that, he showed a look of sudden enlightenment, so it's for the position of the leader. He turned back and went into the house. Come in and talk. Elder son, there's no need to pretend to be unconscious. As the voice fell, Sun Qianzhao's body trembled, and then slowly woke up. What happened? Why am I here? He pulled his legs out of the soil and looked at Qin Jiang. Ah, fourth master, I just heard in a trance that fourth master took the first seat, and this elder said that he absolutely supports fourth master. Kong Hai couldn't help curling his lips when he heard the words, you still absolutely support it? Ha, you are afraid of being beaten, right? Qin Jiang laughed when he heard this. Haha, the elder just came down from the sky, which really opened our eyes. However, let's go into the house first, the gang leader is still waiting. That's right. That's right. Sun Qianzhao also laughed, enduring the pain all over his body and kicking Sun Yan and the deacon awake. After entering the house, Lu Xuanwu learned about the situation and took a sip of the teacup. So that's it, it's my fault for not considering it carefully. However, since things have come to this, it's a blessing that there are no casualties. As he said, he looked at Qin Jiang. Fourth master, I am seriously injured now, and I am afraid it will take more than a month to recover. In my current state, I am unable to manage the gang. How about letting fourth master take over the management for me temporarily? Qin Jiang pondered for a moment and nodded slightly, yes. Lu Xuanwu laughed, okay. Since Master Qin is willing, then Master Qin will take over the position of the first seat. Does anyone have any objections? He looked at Sun Qianzhao, who clasped his fists and said, of course I have no objection. To be honest, I recommended Master Qin as the first seat in my dream yesterday. I didn't expect that the dream would be so accurate. Ha ha ha. Kong Hai, who was sitting opposite him, curled his lips and muttered softly, a flatterer, tsk, disgusting. Oh. Second master seems to have objections. Lu Xuanwu's eyes fell on him. Kong Hai was startled and stood up and knelt on one knee. Boss. What are you talking about? I, Old Kong, absolutely have no objection. It's absolutely the most appropriate for the fourth master to sit in this first seat. Need I say this? It was really won by fists. If he dares to say no, Qin Jiang will probably be thrown into the yard later. Okay, since everyone has no objection, then I declare that the first seat of the Red Tiger Gang, which has been vacant for 30 years, is Qin Jiang, the first seat. Lu Xuanwu said. After saying that, he picked up the teacup and took another sip, swallowing it with some effort. There is another thing, which is about the reason why I was seriously injured. At this point, everyone looked sideways slightly. They had long wanted to know how Lu Xuanwu was injured. After all, with Lu Xuanwu's strength, even if he is now old, he is definitely not comparable to ordinary high-level Xuanwu fourth-level masters. It can be said that Lu Xuanwu is still the number one master in Heishan City and even several surrounding cities, except Qin Jiang. But such a master was actually hit so hard outside the city. Who has such strong strength? Lu Xuanwu sighed and slowly said, that day, I received a secret letter from County Lieutenant Long and went to Dahe Mountain to kill a powerful weird. But I never thought that I would encounter the army of bones on the way back. Chapter 69 Lu Xuanwu, Fishing Lantern Festival. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Speaking of this, Lu Xuanwu's expression became fearful, even a little flustered. The army of bones is all over the mountains and plains. It's just a rough estimate. There are at least thousands of people. I also tried my best to come back, but I don't know how County Lieutenant Long is now. County Lieutenant Long should be fine now. He went back to the inner city before, but left in a hurry. Sun Qianzhao said. After returning today, the servant told him that Long Yuesheng came to find him, and left directly after learning that he was not there. He asked the servant, and County Lieutenant Long did not have any injuries at that time, but just looked a little dusty. Lu Xuanwu nodded, and his hanging heart relaxed a little. In any case, inform all parties first and be prepared to respond. I guess this may be the precursor of the strange tide. I am afraid that it will not be long before the strange tide will erupt. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. The strange tide. This is really a very old name. Black Mountain City has not had a strange tide for decades, but according to records, every time a strange tide breaks out, there will be a large number of casualties, especially those in their gangs, who are usually domineering and arrogant. Once a strange tide breaks out, they will definitely be on the front line as cannon fodder. Although most of the deaths are ordinary gang members, they also need to personally deal with some high-level weirdness, and there are many weirdness in the strange tide. Who knows if they will be surrounded and killed. Lu Xuanwu was not surprised to see the reaction of the crowd, but he was still a little disappointed. Thinking back to the time when he was still in the Tongzhong Gate, he was just a small second-rate warrior, but he dared to go to the area where the strange tide broke out with his senior brothers in the gate. I don't know how many times he had been born and died. If it weren't for his talent, with his fierceness back then, he would never have been here. Even so, he still became a master-level expert. Among these people in front of him, almost everyone has higher talent than him, but no one has achieved a master, except Qin Jiang. He looked at Qin Jiang and saw some worry in his eyes, but he did not shrink back. This alone made him stronger than he is now. According to the rules of the year, our Qihu gang is responsible for the south of the city. You should assist the leader Qin and don't lose the face of the Qihu gang. Yes, he never thought that the Black Mountain City could keep the city wall intact under the attack of the strange tide. He has experienced several strange tides. It is almost impossible to keep the city wall intact when the top combat power is not up to standard. Every time, there will be a large number of civilian casualties. It is because there are too many cities in Daxia, nearly 1,000, and the Huai Kingdom and several surrounding countries have been eyeing it covetously, so the strange tide does not seem to be a big problem. I understand. I will do my best to assist the leader. Kong Hai said directly without any hesitation. The others also said that they would do their best. Okay, in this case, please go back. I need to rest. Lu Xuanwu said. After everyone left, he sat on the chair, relaxed slightly, as if all his energy was drained away in an instant, and his face became gray. He covered his mouth with a handkerchief and coughed gently, and a hint of red could be seen. He stood up and walked to the hangar beside him. There was a black nightgown. He had just blown the whistle in this dress. He came to the pillar next to the hangar and pressed his palm gently on it. A force instantly spread through the pillar. There was a rustling sound of falling to the ground, and the pillar in front of him gradually turned into sand and scattered on the ground, revealing what was inside. It was a 7-meter-long gun, black all over, with tiger-shaped patterns engraved on it. He picked up the gun, rubbed it gently with his fingertips, and had memories in his eyes. Old buddy, I don't know if there is still a chance to fight again. He returned to the chair with the gun and sat down, and placed the gun across his legs. Looking outside, the moonlight was gone, covered by dark clouds, and the whole yard looked dark. It will happen once and for all. A few days later, in Anshin Villa, Mengan directed the crowd to bring in antiques and old things. These were the last batch he could buy with money. Now, the Black Mountain City had been plundered by him, but at most, only some of the most valuable ones were left. In addition, a large part of them had joined the local family association. With the support of a big tree, he couldn't rob them openly. He could only wait for the boss to have time to go there in person. Creaked that the wooden door opened, and Qin Jiang walked out. The black and gold auspicious cloud robe covered his majestic body, and he looked just a little tall. His waist-length hair had been trimmed to his shoulders and scattered casually, which gave him a sense of a gentleman, but also a bit of wildness inside. Boss, they are all here for now. Here are the remaining manuals, which are in the hands of some families in the city. Mengan handed over a booklet, and Qin Jiang took it and looked through it. It recorded the antiques owned by each family. The number was not large, with a total of more than 100 pieces. After putting away the booklet, he looked at the 3 piles of antiques in the yard. The left one had the most, the middle one was slightly less, and the right one had the least, with only about a dozen pieces. Mengan pointed at them and said, "Boss, the one on the far left is what we collected ourselves, and the one in the middle was sent by the eldest lady of the Su family. The purchase price was 70% lower than the market price. As for the one on the far right, it is the one with the pattern you said, a total of 16 pieces." Qin Jiang's eyes moved slightly. Yan Ran also sent some here. Mengyan nodded. Not just some, these are probably 90% of the Su family's inventory. Qin Jiang smiled, said nothing more, walked to the far right, picked up a piece. It was an arc-shaped bronze fragment. It looked like a part of a copper jar. Unfortunately, this piece has no potential points. Suddenly his eyes lit up, and a relatively complete bronze beast pattern mask came into his eyes. Pick up the mask, potential points. Absorbing point 0.20.30.4. Potential points, 318.6, more than the previous nightmare beast pattern bronze mask. He carefully observed this beast pattern, which was somewhat different from the nightmare beast pattern he had seen before. That nightmare beast pattern looked like a lion, and this mask looked more like a tiger. Without thinking any more, he gently stroked the remaining pieces with his palm. Potential points, 336.8, sure enough, the antiques of the ancient Yu kingdom contain more potential points than ordinary antiques. If I have time, I should learn more about this ancient Yu kingdom. Without stopping, he touched the remaining two piles one by one. Potential points, 398.2, Qin Jiang's eyes were a little excited, and there were only less than 2 points left to the 400 mark. When he plundered all the families in the city again, he should be able to collect 500 potential points. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door, and Qin Jiang looked back and saw Su Yanran standing by the door. She hadn't put down her hand knocking on the wooden door, and a part of her arm was exposed. Like white jade, today, she seemed to have dressed up specially, wearing a pink luo skirt, and her temperament was gentle, just like the first time they met. Mr. Qin, you said you would come to pick up Yanran, why did you forget? Did you even forget to accompany Yanran to the Fishing Lantern Festival? Chapter 70 Yin Yang Fish Jade Pendant. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the north of the city, at Baiyun Clinic, the old doctor stood outside the door. Today, he changed into a gorgeous suit, his face was ruddy, and he looked energetic. Even his body was straighter than usual. Looking at the backpack behind him, he gently closed the wooden door of the clinic. Anshin Villa, Qin Jiang's face changed slightly, and he turned around a little stiffly. After 2 seconds of silence, he laughed, ha ha ha. How could it be? Yanran misunderstood me. I was just about to go. Su Yanran couldn't help but blush when she heard Qin Jiang call her Yanran. Then is the young master ready? The Fishing Lantern Festival has already started. She laughed. Somehow, she always felt that Qin Jiang today seemed a little different from the past, as if he had a bit more strange attraction. Of course, let's go now. Qin Jiang laughed. He looked at Mengyan. Old Meng, I'll go to the Fishing Lantern Festival with Yanran. You guys can take a day off today. You don't have to follow me. Have fun. Now the strange tide will erupt at any time, and it's a rare opportunity to relax. After leaving the villa, Qin Jiang and Su Yanran walked on the street. Today's inner city seemed particularly lively. After all, it's a rare festive day that only happens once a year. Walking on the street, there were vendors on both sides of the road, shouting and selling non-stop. Listening to the slightly noisy voices and the company of a beauty by his side, Qin Jiang's mood became much more relaxed. During this period, his nerves have been tense, which really made him a little tired. It just happened to relax at this Fishing Lantern Festival. Not long after, the two saw a crowd gathered in front of them. They walked closer and took a look. It turned out that they were writing poems. Gentlemen, gentlemen. Since the theme of this year's poetry gathering is love, I will use this Yin Yang Fish Jade Pendant as a prize. Whoever wins first place will receive it. The center of the crowd was vacant, and a table was placed on it with papers spread out on it. A young man in green clothes held up a pair of jade pendants, one black and one white, emitting a warm pearlescent glow. It was obvious that they were treasures. Okay. Since Mr. Zhang is interested, I will accompany you. I will add another 100 taels of silver as a prize. Another young man in white also came out and put 100 taels of silver on the table. Soon, the crowd was boiling, and soon several people came forward to write poems. The best one was a young man in a green shirt, who looked a bit scholarly. Qin Jiang and Su Yanran stood outside and watched, and they thought it was quite interesting. When they saw that the first place was almost chosen, they planned to leave. Anyone else? No one wants to show off their talent. Really? The shouts rang out, and Master Zhang in the middle of the crowd shouted with a smile. Suddenly, his eyes moved slightly, and he saw Qin Jiang and Su Yanran who were about to turn around and leave. There was no way. Qin Jiang was really tall now, it was hard not to be noticed, not to mention that there was Su Yanran, a woman who was much more beautiful than the Oiran, beside him. Brother! Brother! Brother, wait a minute, Master Zhang shouted in this direction, and the crowd's eyes also turned to this side. The moment they saw Qin Jiang and Su Yanran, they couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Such a talented man and beautiful woman, they are actually from Black Mountain City? Why have I never seen them before? Qin Jiang looked at Master Zhang. Master Zhang, what's the matter? Master Zhang immediately bowed and said with a smile, my dear brother, there is a beautiful lady beside you, and today is the poetry meeting. Why don't you show off a few of your poems? Just think of it as a way to make the beautiful lady smile. Hearing this, Su Yanran couldn't help laughing. Master Qin has always been straightforward. When will he be able to write a love poem? However, she secretly glanced at Qin Jiang. Just at this moment, Master Qin was indeed much more elegant than before. Just when she was about to pull Qin Jiang away, she saw Qin Jiang laughing. Why not? After saying that, Qin Jiang gently patted Su Yanran, strode to the table in the middle, and started writing. Just a moment later, he put down the pen with satisfaction. Master Zhang approached with a bit of doubt, his pupils shrank slightly, and he read aloud unconsciously. There is a beauty in the north, peerless and independent. One look from her can make the city fall, another look can make the country fall. I would rather not know that she can make the city fall and the country fall, as it is hard to find such a beauty again. He also learned martial arts, and his voice was penetrating, so that the people present could hear it clearly and could not help but be silent. He could not help but pick up the rice paper. What a good poem! What a good poem! The north is vast, the state is simple and the feelings are deep, the world is independent, and there is no one in the world. Fascinating. It is really exciting to think about it, and it is fascinating to think about it. He looked at Qin Jiang with a fiery look. Brother, your literary talent really makes me ashamed. Qin Jiang was a little embarrassed by this sudden enthusiasm. He didn't expect that just copying a poem could cause such a big reaction from the person in front of him. Brother Zhang, you're welcome. Mr. Zhang turned around and looked at the crowd around him, holding up the Yin fish jade pendant in his hand. Gentlemen. What's your name, brother? He looked at Qin Jiang with some embarrassment, and Qin Jiang smiled. My last name is Qin. Mr. Qin. Gentlemen, do you have any objections to Mr. Qin being the first in the poetry meeting? Mr. Zhang looked at the crowd and said. Everyone said no, even the blue-shirt scholar said there was no problem. Okay. Then this Yin fish jade pendant and this 100 taels of silver will belong to Mr. Qin. Qin Jiang took the Yin fish jade pendant and the silver note, and the crowd watching the excitement around him gradually dispersed. Mr. Zhang looked at Qin Jiang. Brother Qin, I am from the Zhang family in Heishan City, and I am also a little famous in Heishan City. If you have free time in the future, you can go to Dingguanfang to find me. It would be wonderful to drink and write poems at that time. Qin Jiang nodded slightly. I will definitely do it next time. Okay. That's it. I'll go back first, Brother Qin, go play with the beauty. After Master Zhang left, Qin Jiang walked to Su Yanran, spread his hands, and held a black and white Yin fish jade pendant. Choose one. Su Yanran's eyes slightly opened when she heard it, and her cheeks flushed with shame. Which girl doesn't have spring in her heart? Especially a young talent like Qin Jiang. She knew a few days ago that Qin Jiang is now the leader of the Red Tiger Gang, and it is almost certain that he will be the next leader of the Red Tiger Gang. Although she will not stay in Black Mountain City in the future, Qin Jiang is not yet an adult. Who can say that Qin Jiang will not go further? At least in her opinion, this small Black Mountain City will definitely not allow Qin Jiang to stay for too long. In the future, if it is really possible to get married with Master Qin, how can she be a woman who only knows how to ask for things? She claims to be no worse than the heroes of ancient times, and naturally she will become a helper to her future husband, not a burden. With this thought, she looked at the Yin-yang fish jade pendant in Qin Jiang's hand, and raised her hand to take the black fish-shaped jade pendant. Qin Jiang raised his eyebrows. He thought Su Yanran would choose the white one. He couldn't help but think of what Su Yanran said when she got on the horse in the field that day, "Mr. Qin, Yanran is not a weak woman." With a smile, he hung the white fish jade pendant around his waist, and Su Yanran also carefully put away the black fish jade pendant. Leaving the poetry meeting, the two walked on the bank of a tributary of the Shushu River, with a few palm-sized river lanterns floating on the water. Most of them were in the shape of lotus flowers, and some were more bizarre. "I don't agree. This year's golden scale fish king is so big, it's a pity to use it as a prize." "That's right. This fish king is so big, it's worth at least 40 taels, that the quarrel came from the river ahead." Qin Jiang looked over and saw fishermen wearing straw raincoats standing on several boats in the Shushu River, holding harpoons in their hands, and it seemed that they were about to fight. "Brother Qin, look! Such a big golden scale fish." Su Yanran pointed to the shore ahead, where a nearly half-meter-long golden scale fish was tied into a bow shape with straw ropes and hung on a mast. Qin Jiang smiled when he heard it. "Do you like it? Look at me winning it."